All right, it is the Jeff Dubay Show with Jason Linse. We are live at Uptown Fitness. It is the week of July 6th. Just a huge
July?
week. Did I say July?
You did.
January 6th. January 6th. So I got a lot on my mind right now. January 6th, 2020.
2020.
Yeah, and
A new year.
and it's been a hell of a year so far. I mean, how can you complain as a Viking fan or a Gopher football fan that this thing is just off to an incredible start. As a matter of fact, we do have the ability to be somewhat interactive with our viewers here. So I got a question. I got a question for you and for the viewers. Can you think of? And I'm 51 years old, about to be 52. I can't come up with one week ever in my life that has been more significant, substantial. Two bigger wins for the Gophers and the Vikings in the same week than what we just experienced. I think this is, as a Gopher/Viking football fan,
Well,
I think this last week, this most recent week of games, is far and away the highlight of my fandom career. Can you think of a better one? I mean, two big upset wins against really good teams, both away from home, one neutral field, one legitimate road, a bowl game, a significant January 1st bowl game, and an NFL playoff game on the road.
Games everybody picked us to lose.
Absolutely, and by significant margins.
Yeah, what was that with the New Orleans game?
Yeah.
17 points, 14 points.
Yeah, that was weird.
Show some respect and say like a touchdown.
I thought it was going to be a close game. I didn't pick the Vikings to win, but I thought it was going to be a close game.
You called it. I picked them to win.
You did, and I don't know why. The experts on Fox were all about like 14 points, 17 points. I think one of them might have given us the respect to say we're only going to lose by 7.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Jimmy Johnson.
And I certainly didn't expect the Vikings to win. I mean, and we can list the reasons. And Cousins, going to the game, Cousins was certainly among the reasons I did not expect the Vikings to win this football game. And to be honest with you, there were many times during this game where he was the same old Kirk Cousins.
He was.
And when it comes to Cousins and my complaints or criticisms of him, it's not about inaccurate throws. It's about a guy who just is so uncomfortable in the pocket in big situations that he just doesn't even bother to look around. I mean, there's a reason last year against the Bears, Thielen melted down on the sideline. There's a reason Stephon Diggs melted down yesterday on the sidelines. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not excusing the behavior of Diggs. He is a diva. But there were plenty of plays where they showed just an ISO on Diggs where he goes and finds just a completely dead spot in his own and is wide open, but Cousins never bothered to look. Because, there are just plays where Kirk Cousins wants nothing to do with it. There was a third and long at the end of the game. I mean, Cam Jordan was largely neutralized in this game by the Vikings offensive line. On third and long, when the Vikings were nursing that 3-point lead, just before punting away for New Orleans' final drive, it was third and long. They rushed 2, maybe 3. Cousins had all day long. And instead of just heaving something and taking his chances downfield with the PI or something, he basically ran directly into the arms of Cam Jordan. And then, to me, that's what Kirk Cousins does in these big situations that becomes frustrating from a Vikings fan standpoint. Is he gets uncomfortable. And he doesn't sit there and go through the options.
Happy feet.
He either has made up his mind, like he tried to squeeze one in to Rudolph. Tried to squeeze one into Rudolph on a third down, where he had he taken his time and gone through his progressions, he had Thielen sitting in the middle of the zone, just found a dead spot, was wide open. But he doesn't want to sit.
He doesn't trust the offensive line.
He doesn't trust the line. He doesn't want to sit in that pocket. He thinks he's going to get lit up.
Yep.
And he kind of made up his mind of going to the security blanket with this without even thinking about it. But I'm not going to get too critical of Cousins because when it mattered.
Gosh, yes.
When it mattered, he came up. He came up big. Now, the NFL overtime. I think the NFL overtime. They finally are getting it right. They changed it.
They get it right. I mean, did they get it right?
With the
Drew Brees should get a chance to touch the ball.
Not if your team can't keep the other team going down the field and scoring a touchdown. I have no sympathy.
Why not do it like college?
Well,
that way a coin toss doesn't decide it.
But see, a coin toss. I would say a coin toss has decided it in instances where a team will take that kickoff and go down the field and get a field goal. That's a lame way to lose a football game, and you just don't.
Yeah, the old
that was horrible.
Yeah.
The old way was horrible.
Yeah.
But if you can't keep a team from going down the field and scoring a touchdown, I think that's earning the win. I think that is absolutely earning the win. If that happens, then I don't think there's any.
I don't disagree that you earn
any complaint.
You earn the. But what is the problem with making it the other way? Either college
because college has a terrible overtime. I hate college overtime. It's just there's
For drama, it's pretty good.
Yeah, but it's not football. It's just all it is red zone execution. That's all it is.
Like
there's no decision making, field position.
Okay, I got you.
There's no strategy to it. It's not football. It's a drill. And then when it comes to well, it is. It's a red zone drill. It's a red zone drill.
Okay.
And
but what about in pros? If you started, at the 45-yard line. What about that?
I tell you what. I really think that if you get a field goal, the other team gets a chance. You get a touchdown, the game is over. System is.
Right.
I think it's borderline.
I don't think
flawless.
they're going to change anything.
I think it's a great system.
Right.
Now I'll say this: when it's the regular season and the overtime session is 10 minutes and it ends at a tie, you've got to take the ball because you're only going to get 2 possessions to the team's 1 in theory. But in the NFL playoffs, when they're going to go 15 minutes and then it's just the start of a new quarter. Part of me thinks you're better off kicking off. Now, obviously, that's not the case yesterday. The Vikings went down the field and scored, which I think defied most odds. I did not expect the Vikings to go down the field and score a touchdown. But I would argue, I think the argument could be made in the postseason where time is not a factor, where they're going to play until there's a winner. Part of me thinks you're better off kicking off that football because you got to trust your defense to not allow a touchdown drive, don't you? And if the other team doesn't score,
I don't see the logic on that, Jeff, because
I don't know.
Because you take the ball because you plan to go down and score that fucking touchdown.
You do. You plan on it. Plan, but the best laid plans. I mean, I did not expect the Vikings to go down the field and score a touchdown. My hope was that they would get 3 so they could at least extend the game. Because if you don't get anything, I think there's a pretty good chance that the Saints are going to go down the field and they're going to get a field goal to win it. So my hope is that you at least get some points on the board without turning it over or whatever, just to have a chance, just to keep it going. But anyway, the Vikings win 26-20. Gophers win 31-24. We're going to talk about both. Obviously the play everyone's talking about is the Kyle Rudolph touchdown, which came after a great Adam Thielen reception, and we'll talk about Adam Thielen because I was getting on his case a little bit in the first half.
Yeah, you were.
And apparently I lit a fire.
Well, right away, you're texting me. You're Kittle, boy.
Okay, what do you do?
He did fumble.
He fumbled. He committed a holding penalty, and he dropped a pass. I mean, he was a mess.
That's right. He did drop a pass that he should have caught.
Yeah, he was a mess in the first half.
Yeah.
Came up very big in the second.
Totally redeemed himself.
He did. He absolutely did, as did Kirk Cousins. I believe he only threw 2 passes in overtime, but they were both money. Anyway, to the Rudolph touchdown.
We got the money.
2 things about the Rudolph touchdown. We'll get to the, whether or not it was a push-off. But the reason they were even in that position, which annoys me, was the play call on second down. The toss sweep. I hate the toss.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the Vikings have a first and goal at the 1, all right? And they had the same situation in the first half. And to me, you're a running team. You've got backs that you trust. You got an offensive line that you trust to run the football. Maybe not in a short yardage situation as much as you do out on, when you can do some zone blocking, between the 20s and get out and get on the edge and whatever. However, when you toss sweep, a team has the opportunity. I mean, what you bring into play is the 3 to 4 yard loss if you toss sweep.
Yeah.
And then it happened to him in the second quarter and forced them to settle for a field goal. If you're on the 1 yard line, you either hand it off up the gut, or it's quarterback sneak it. If you do that 3 to 4 times, including a 4th down attempt if you need it, you're going to score. And the Vikings get this play to Thielen. They're first and goal at the 1. The first down run is stuffed. It's second goal from the 1. I'm not even concerned. Give it to Cook again. Give it to Madison again. Run a sneak. You've got 3 more tries to win the game. You're not going to kick a field goal here. You're going to win the game. No. But on second down, they run toss sweep, and sure enough, it's sniffed out. There's some penetration by the defense that forces Cook out even wider. The play gets strung out, and he gets pulled down at the 4 yard line. Now you are on third and goal from the 4 in a situation where if you don't convert, you've got to kick the field goal. I mean, when you're first and goal at the 1, this game is over. If you call the right plays, first and goal from the 1, it's over. And I think this is where Stefanski has lacked confidence in his line and in his team's ability to just impose will. He's done it more than once. He did it twice in this game, where from the 1 yard line, he ran a toss sweep that put them back to the 4 or 5. They had to settle for a field goal in one instance, and had they not converted the third down pass to Rudolph, they would have had to settle for a field goal to win this game, or to not win this game, but to extend this game. I mean, when you're first and goal at the 1, 4 gut runs, whether it's quarterback, fullback, half, I don't care. 4 gut runs, and you are in the end zone. Don't toss sweep. No. Don't bring the 3 to 4 yard loss into play. Yeah. He did it, and it almost brings me back to week 2 at Green Bay, where the Vikings were just running it down their throats. They got down inside the 10. And if you have any confidence in your offensive line and your running game, you keep pounding it. You're in the end zone. You win that game. You probably win the division. But no, he doesn't trust it. On first down, he calls a pass. It's an interception. And it's yeah. And then that's why you're a wild card and probably not a division champ.
But how about that pass?
I mean, just trust it. Trust your guys to pound it in.
I got you. Let's talk about the pass.
So let's go. Yes, the second part of it, of the game deciding sequence, the pass to Rudolph. I'll say this: if I personally wouldn't have called interference there. Obviously, I'm a Viking fan. However, had a flag flown initially, like had a referee called it live, pass interference, I could have lived with it. I mean, there's a lot of hand jostling. I'm always tend to let it go from an offensive standpoint. If the defender's got your hands all over you and you push to get free of that, I don't have a problem with that.
No.
I mean, he's on you. What are you supposed to do? Hug him?
Yeah.
Thank you for the hand check.
Yeah.
Thank you for grabbing me. Thank you for holding
What
my
if
arm.
you're a
No,
germaphobe?
you're
Get
gonna get him off you.
Yeah.
And I've got no problem with that. If the cornerback is going to play that style, then the receiver should be allowed to play that style.
Yeah.
And the guy did have actually it's right. Was it the right arm or left arm? Was the right whatever. He had Rudolph's arm, the alleged push-off arm. He had it wrapped up.
Yes.
So Rudolph pushes to get free. Clearly there was a push. Now, had there been a flag live on the field, I wouldn't have liked the call, but I could have lived with it. I could have seen where it came from.
Yeah.
But when they went to review, there is no way that's the kind of call that you overturn.
No.
Like a game-winning play in a playoff game. You don't take that off the board for a 50-50 call at best.
Yeah.
And that call was a 50-50 call at best.
How much of last year's Sean Payton whining and what happened to the Saints had to do with the refs? They didn't call anything this game, really. They pretty much let it go.
Yeah, it was.
You get my point. They're probably scared to throw a flag and get criticized.
Maybe. I mean, he got burned a couple times this year on interference.
Good. He's a douchebag.
Turned over calls. It's a terrible rule, and I hope the league revisits it. You should not. I mean, basically, what the rule was, even though it didn't have the language, was that if we see a ridiculous missed call like we did in the playoffs last year, when a guy, for the Rams mugs the receiver.
Yeah.
If we see a call that is so freaking egregious, we're going to be able to do something about it. We want a rule in the books that allows us to do something about it. They didn't put it in the books like that, though. They just made it a reviewable call.
Yeah.
So for the entire season, basically nobody understood what should or should not be open to such interpretation.
Right.
Should we be able to overrule that? Should we not be able to overrule that? Is this egregious enough? Is this not egregious enough? Basically, we found out throughout the course of the year that what the league wanted was strictly a rule to correct the ridiculous missed call. And it had to be pretty ridiculous for the most part. Yeah. I mean, there were exceptions throughout the year, including the Viking-Packers game. But there were others that made this rule very ambiguous. The line was all very nebulous. You just couldn't figure out exactly what the threshold was. But to me, this rule was not for a play like what you saw yesterday by Kyle Rudolph. It was to correct horrific mistakes. And this, in my opinion, again, was a 50-50 call. If a flag flies initially on the play, if the ref calls it on the field, I can see where the call comes from. I don't personally like it, but you can live with it.
It wasn't like it was Drew Pearson, Nate Wright. Come on.
Yeah,
it wasn't bad.
Exactly. I mean, to go back and overrule that, and when it tells you to, you've got to be careful. Football is played at full speed, not frame by frame.
Right.
And frame by frame can be deceiving, and angles can be deceiving. If you look from the angle from behind the end zone, behind the end zone cam, it looks like a push. If you watch the camera that is off to the side, that is down by the pylon, as a matter of fact, it might have been the pylon cam. I swear you see two guys jostling for position, tangling up their arms, and it doesn't look like a flag at all. When you watch the play live from the sideline cam, the high sideline cam, it doesn't look like a penalty at all. Like when the ball's caught, I jumped out of my seat. I'm like, that's as clean as it gets. So I mean, it depends on what angle you get. Things can be made to look certain ways when they're shot from certain angles and from certain speeds. You could have called interference. I'm not saying it's the right call. I'm not saying it's the wrong call. I'm saying it's a 50-50 call. I don't think there's anything wrong with calling it there. I don't think there's anything wrong with not calling it there. But once you don't call it, it is that iffy of a call. It is that much of a toss-up of a call that you can't overrule it. And again, you had the referees on the field not call it. You had the referees reviewing it, not calling it. Yeah. And then you had the league office / officiating supervisor, whatever, say, did not make the threshold. Everybody
but Tony Dungy thinks it's
and Rodney Harris.
Yeah.
So
whatever.
I mean, and I watched the the ESPN post game, and the experts they had in the booth, and in the NFL Network as well. Both they all said no. That's not interference. That's a let them play moment. Can you imagine having that? Had the Vikings lost the game, having a touchdown like that taken away? That would have been a miscarriage.
I don't think we'd be doing a show today. Hey, let me ask you this: when the Saints were down 3 late in the game,
yes,
didn't you think they were going to score a touchdown?
No, that's why I felt good.
Right.
I felt the two outcomes of the game.
But don't you think they kind of?
To me, the two outcomes of the game are going to be either they tie and go overtime, or the Vikings win by 3. My concern was going to be if the Vikings picked up another field goal to go up by 6, then you got to stop. Then you got to keep Drew Brees out of the end zone.
Yeah.
In a situation where I just think a 6-point lead in football is so freaking dangerous because there's no field goal attempt coming. When you give a guy like Drew Brees 4 downs, it's obviously nobody's kicking a field goal down by 6. So now you take a dangerous offense with a Hall of Fame quarterback, one of the greatest of all time, and you put him in a 4-down situation. You got to keep him out of the end zone. To me, that's almost a recipe for losing a football game. So I wasn't cheering for us not to get a field goal to add to the lead, but if it's 20-17, I'm not saying the Saints don't play to win at that point, but they a field goal. If the field goal is on the table, they're not as aggressive. It is. I mean, it is what it is.
And they played that way.
And thankfully they committed the penalty, and it was obviously the right call. I mean, they weren't set. Kamara was moving towards the line of scrimmage. Yeah. They throw a flag with 21 seconds left. I personally, I'm not an NFL coach, but I agree with Joe Buck, not Troy Aikman on this. I would have burned a timeout to save the 10-second runoff. They had a timeout left on the board. So you can either have 11 seconds and a timeout, or you can have 21 seconds and no timeouts. Although I can see it both ways, because with 11 seconds, you can throw a pass, get a timeout, and get the field goal. With 21 seconds, you've got more of a chance to go to the end zone and try to win the game, but you also might get tackled in bounds and have the clock run out on it. It's possible. You should be able to reset with 21, but you're taking a chance. And in a playoff type situation, one and done, it's a big risk to take. But tons of credit to the Vikings defense. Yeah, love the defense.
How about the Cook fumble?
That's good. Oh my God! I did the. I was just thinking
30 seconds to a minute. It was.
Oh yeah, I was thinking. Oh my God! Well, and I did for much of the second half. Well, not much of the second half, but starting late in the third quarter, I started to have a little bit of an impending sense of doom until we got down to the last 5 minutes when it was clear that with a 3-point lead, I felt we could keep them out of the end zone. But then the Cook fumble, and it pops right up in the guy's arms, and he's gone. I'm like, boy, this is Minneapolis miracle payback right here. This is
how about Teddy Bridgewater? Stay the fuck off the field. Did you see that?
I did not.
He runs out. He was in the end zone right after the guy scored.
Okay.
Sort of scored.
I mean, I don't blame him for being a little excited at that point. Well, but thank God the replay on that was incontrovertible. Would the word incontrovertible still be in the English lexicon if it wasn't for instant replay? I mean, have you ever used incontrovertible? I didn't
even know it was a word till now.
Are you kidding? It's the standard of measure for replay.
What's the definition?
Incontrovertible. I would assume it means it's beyond controversy. It is unimpeachable.
Nobody could argue the other way.
Correct.
A reasonable person.
Correct.
Yeah. All right.
Incontrovertible. I don't know if the word would. I'm sure the word existed before the league went to instant replay.
I don't think football invented this term.
Yeah, no, they didn't. But I think it would have just kind of died out of the lexicon.
So we have a question from Josh Stern.
No, it's Joe Stern.
Joe Stern, sorry. But part of it's up the feed, but I read it earlier.
Okay.
He's like, we need to get Diggs right for San Francisco. He always looks a little rattled. What was it, because he wasn't getting the ball?
Well, he is a diva. I mean, he is a diva. And I think receivers get frustrated when their number's getting called and the quarterback's just not. The quarterback's not seeing it, not recognizing it, just not hanging in there long enough. And I do believe that is the biggest shortcoming that we have with a guy like Kirk Cousins. Again, I don't want to be too critical. He went to New Orleans and won. I mean, you keep the stats that exist on Kirk Cousins and his futility against good football teams in big situations. You could fill just a volume, an encyclopedia volume. There's so many stats. And I had not heard this one until yesterday. 0-15 against 12-win teams. Kirk Cousins in his career against a team with 12 or 13 win team, 0-15, and the Saints are a 13-3 team. So I mean,
now he's a 1-15.
yeah, but I mean, it just.
Wow.
Yeah, the stats that exist about Kirk Cousins' futility against high levels of competition, they're endless. They're endless.
And he also didn't look very good yesterday
For the
in
most
regulation.
part. Well, here's the thing.
In regulation at the end of the game, and we needed to go down and score.
We had opportunities.
Yes.
When it was 20-10 in the third quarter, and we got a big stop. That was a scratch, by the way, not a pick. No pick. Another Seinfeld reference.
No pick.
It was 20-10. The defense had been dominant. New Orleans had just punted for the third time in the second half. I believe their first 3 possessions, they totaled 1 first down in the second half and 2 3-and-outs, if I'm not mistaken. They might have had a second first down, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, so they punted away. It's 20-10. We had just scored a touchdown on our previous possession. Came right back and threw a 3-and-out on them. So all the momentum in the world, 20-10. And from that point on to late in the third quarter to the end of regulation, our offense became horrifyingly inept.
Yep.
I mean, yeah. I mean, this was the series where on a third, I think it was second down or third down. We did the little play action QB waggle. Cousins rolls out to the right. He's got all day. He sets up and just throws a bullet 25, 30 yards downfield. That bounces 10 yards in front of Stephon Diggs.
I thought it was Donovan McNabb.
It was a bizarre miss. Yeah. And I'm not saying it would have been a gimme. I mean, he had all day, and he at least examined his options and was willing to take a chance. But he missed him by 10 yards. It was a bizarre throw. But that just kind of, to me, highlights how completely horrifyingly inept our offense became from late in the third quarter.
For a stretch, it was bad. It was bad.
Runs for losses of 5, 6, 7 yards on toss sweeps. A near fumble for a defensive score. Absolutely not a sniff of anything through the air. Yeah. And from the time it was 20-10, from late in the third quarter, you had the ball and a 2-score lead. Like Aikman said, hey, if you're a quarterback and you're on the field, you got the ball and a 2-score lead, you feel pretty good.
Yes.
But all of a sudden now it's not a 2-score game anymore. Now the collar gets a little tight. Things start to feel a little different. And I mean, that's why I was a little concerned about taking the ball to start overtime. I mean, I see that you have to do it. I get it. You got to take the chance to go down and score. You got to do it. But I mean, given the recent ineptitude of the Vikings offense in that game from the late third quarter through the entire fourth quarter, and the fact that the running game had completely gotten away from them after a pretty dominant first half on the ground.
What happened there?
I mean, my fear
to 10 yards?
Just down to nothing. And it was those 10 yards came, on a couple of runs in the overtime. So, I mean, my fear was, again, you're either going to turn the ball over or you're going to, go 3-and-out or maybe just get 1 first down. And now the Saints are going to have the ball in a situation where they just need a field goal to win. The game-winning drive, it came out of nowhere. I mean, it's like we're with this offense. It just it came, and I give the coaches. I think Stefanski did not call a great game, and I really think he struggles with play calling inside the 10. But here's where I'll give him credit.
No push off right here. So you are right.
Although I'll tell you this, I want to give Stefanski credit for something here. But I think any alert offensive and NFL coach would do this. The cornerback, and now I'm brain farting on his name. That he got hurt on the play before the pass to Thielen. It was a run. There was a Dalvin Cook run in the corner. I think it probably was Marshawn Lattimore. He had somebody roll up on his ankle, and he left the game. So instantly, your backup comes in, you go after him on the very next play, and they did. They did with Thielen on a beautiful throw. And there are many guys in the league better at catching this pass than Adam Thielen. Yeah. I mean, most guys got to turn one way or another, and if you turn the wrong way, you're done. Yeah. He could he can do this. Yeah. I mean, the pass just comes straight down out of the sky. He's fantastic.
He came through.
Yeah, well,
Mankato.
He also had a big catch in the third quarter on the Vikings touchdown drive, where the cornerback just kind of gave up.
He had over 100 yards. He had 9.
Oh yeah, he had 7 for 129.
What did Diggsy end up with? Just a couple of balls?
Yeah, he didn't have a big game statistically, but they did get him involved in the second half. What was weird about this game to me is there was a lot of uncomfortable situations on both sidelines. I mean, it was really weird. I mean, it was a playoff game. And both these teams seem to be melting down on the sidelines. Diggs for the Vikings, and then you had some guys in the Saints secondary had some miscommunication. And you also had Rhodes barking at Harrison Smith.
Yes.
I mean, there was a lot of sideline tension both ways in this game. It was really strange in that regard.
Hey, so let me ask you this, Jeffrey. Do you think Stefanski will he be a head coach? Is that legit?
It's weird to me. Guys get the reputation of this guy's a future head coach. This guy's head coach in Timber. And we've talked about this before, although it's not as true. This is my theory, my philosophy on head coaches for a long time. It's not as true as it once was, because now they're hiring, these X's and O's offensive geniuses. But I mean, I've always thought
the leader versus
the
Childress versus
a head coach should be a man's man. A head coach should be the kind of guy that like
Parcells.
like a Tice or a Parcells or and I know Tice didn't have a lot of success, but there were a lot of things against him here in Minnesota. But I mean, he should be a Del Rio, the kind of guy a team you want to go out and have a beer with, you'd run through a wall for. The coordinators, they're always trying to find the next brilliant coordinator. A guy like Childress will sit in a dark room with the tape machine for 80 hours a week and X and O you to death. A mad scientist, fine, but he's also the kind of guy that Ogre pantsed in high school.
Right? The kind of guy that Percy Harvin throws a dumbbell at.
Yes, exactly. And I can almost guarantee you that when Childress walked into the room and Percy Harvin threw the dumbbell at him, I bet he yelled out, "Nerd!" I mean, so it's like I just always thought that the head coaching Timber, good example, Mike Prefer, the old Viking special teams head coach. Now his stock has fallen because of his homophobic remarks about wanting to nuke an island full of gay people. But before that happened, Mike Prefer was somebody they just said, this guy's head coaching Timber. And I think, what's he doing? He's mapping out, punt coverage teams. So it's not a matter of, boy, this guy's a brilliant football mind.
Occasionally,
they just see something in him. He's a leader. He's going to command a room. People are going to follow him. They're going to care what he says.
But occasionally,
now we're getting into the nerds again. Well, guys like LaFleur. Guys like Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley at some point is going to make that jump because these are guys who are Cliff Kingsbury. I mean, I call it the quarterback whisperer. They're just these guys. I mean, teams put everything now into drafting a quarterback and developing a franchise quarterback. So they want a coach that gets through to that kind of player. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury was a mediocre college football coach. I mean, he ran the air raid offense or a form of it in college. And then as a quarterback, and then he becomes a coach at Texas Tech, where they perennially would win 6 or 7 games and go to the Belk Bowl or something. I mean, it was not an impressive resume. But we missed with Rosen. We're not going to miss with Kyler Murray. We need a quarterback whisperer to come in here and get this guy, to make sure that this guy develops. That's the kind of coach people want now. So we've gone from from the man's man, the macho tough head coach, back to the nerdy, quarterback whisperer, X's and O's.
Well, maybe on offense. So you think Zimmer's kind of a hybrid, though?
Zimmer's old school. He's all defense. And had the Vikings lost this game,
but he's got leadership skills.
Oh, I think absolutely.
He's an X and O guy.
I've always loved Zimmer because I think he is a tough guy. He's a Parcells. He's part of the Parcells coaching tree. I mean, he came out of that group. He is a Parcells assistant. He's part of that crew. He's part of that group. There's no doubt about it. That's why Dallas had interest in him after they let Garrett go. But Zimmer is a defensive coach. He's a defensive genius. I never saw using Sendejo as your slot guy, but he did. I thought Jaron Curse, Holton Hill, something like that, but no, it was Sendejo. You were down two. You were down 2 DBs. Yeah. Your slot guy, your nickel guy, and he made it work with Sendejo. Brilliant. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. Also moving your ends inside because the Saints have weak guards and outstanding tackles. So you take Griffin and Hunter and you move them inside and they wreak havoc up the middle. It was brilliant. Zimmer's a great defensive mind. But had the Vikings lost this game, let's say Cousins goes into this game, wets the bed, just sucks his thumb all day, and the Vikings get smoked. My thought on that would have been, okay, now what they might do, because you can't get rid of Cousins. He's got the guaranteed deal for another year. Yeah. Plus, he had a really good year, so why would you get rid of him? At that point, I think the Vikings would have sought out one of these quarterback whisperers. They would have gone out and tried to find a guy who's going to get something out of your quarterback because you can't get rid of the quarterback. So we've got to go out and get somebody who can utilize this quarterback and find a way to
stop him from choking.
Which is what they did. Which is, by the way, that's pretty much what they did when they went out and got Gary Kubiak.
Yeah,
that's why they added him to the staff. But Stefanski, the most roundabout way. We posed this question like 10 minutes ago. He is one of these guys that people look at as head coaching timber. He's one of these guys. I mean, when he was the Vikings quarterback coach, before he took over, for DiFilippo, before that ever even happened, he was just a quarterbacks coach who was already on people's radar as somebody who was going to get interviews as an NFL coach.
Part of it's because he's young too, right?
Yeah,
that's the trend.
Well, and I think it's because he's young, he's charismatic, but there are definitely traits that people look for when it comes to we think this assistant could become a head coach. That it's got a lot to do with can he command a room? What kind of is he charismatic? Is he a leader? Those these kind of intangible things that we don't see behind the scenes. Behind the scenes.
Before we get too far, Jeffrey,
we got to get to the Gophers.
We got to talk a little bit. Speaking of 12 wins.
Oh my God.
11 wins. Sorry, what? Well,
Uptown Fitness.
Yeah, 12, Uptown Fitness 12.
Oh my God.
1207. Here we go. It hasn't worked out a day in his life. 1207 Lagoon Avenue, right in the heart of Uptown. If you know where Cub Foods is, we're located. Parking's plenty. Go to uptownfitnessmn.com. Learn more about us. Schedule your free session. First session's free. No obligation.
Yeah.
We have a 30-day money-back guarantee. All kinds of cool stuff. If you got New Year's resolutions or you're just looking for a new gym and you're tired of going to a gym and not knowing what to do, we got you covered here. UptownFitnessMN.com.
And before people get too freaked out about my physical appearance, I'm the before. He's the after.
Yeah, right.
Before, after. As a matter of fact, I always thought my career would eventually be that of a before model. You just see the before after. I can hire myself out as a before model to weight loss centers, to gyms, to treatment centers. Dude, I'm the before model. I'm the before picture. I'm the mess.
What about a hand model?
I'm the mess.
Hand model.
That's Costanza, bro. No, I'm a before model, and I'm the reclamation project.
So War Dam Gopher on New Year's Day.
Awesome.
Went down to was it Tampa? Is that what it was?
Tampa.
Yeah.
Sunny Tampa.
And pretty much controlled that game from start to finish, right?
And you know what was awesome? Not only did it's weird that they only won by 7 when you look at the statistics. I mean, they dominated this football game. But to me, the thing that was most awesome about it is that they took a punch. They took a couple of hard punches. When you're an underdog, and you're not given a great chance to win, you probably are a little undermanned athletically. I mean, Auburn. I mean, these SEC teams, they can run. I mean, the guy I can't remember his unpronounceable last name, but the guy who returned the kick for a touchdown. How fast was that guy?
Fast.
Oh my God! I mean, he ran by us. It's the first time the Gophers had the ball. They tried to get to the edge on a run with Smith and Kenny Britt, the linebacker, really good linebacker, chased him down and just nailed him for no gain. I'm like, boy, there's a lot of speed. These guys are fast. Then we get a big stop. We take a gut punch right away with the interception. Come back with a big stop. Go down the field. Get 3 points, and then boom, this kick return. This guy. I mean, you blink,
Wheels.
And he's at the 50-yard line. It's like we don't have the speed.
Yeah.
How can you possibly overcome the speed difference?
Yeah.
And from that point on, the Gophers dominated the football game.
Yes.
I mean, and God bless the Gophers' offensive line, the running game. Tyler Johnson in the passing game was phenomenal. Bateman didn't do a lot, but he turned in a great play on a little center bubble screen on 3rd down that got the Gophers down to the 1-yard line. I'll tell you two things that. You want to talk about the fates working against? I'm going to be a whiny Minnesota fan here for a second.
No.
Two things, just beyond your control circumstances that jumped up to bite the Gophers and the Vikings were free timeouts for our opponents in goal line defense situations. Against the Saints, the Vikings got them on their heels, going down the field, and the freaking Skycam cable breaks, and they get a free timeout.
That cost us a touchdown.
It absolutely hurt them. It absolutely hurt them. And then for the Gophers, they get first and goal at the 1, and a nice play by Bateman. They're about to take it in. And on 3 consecutive plays, or was it 2 consecutive plays, there are lengthy replay reviews that they got the calls right. Tyler Johnson did not get in the end zone. Rodney Smith did not get in the end zone. But if they get these calls right on the field, you huddle up, you come back with another play. The Gophers had Auburn just gasping for air, had them on their heels, and they get these massive stoppages in play, these huge free timeouts. Because these referees are blowing the calls on the field. The Gophers had to go to a 4th down. And by the way, this tight end with them, I mean, talk about it out of nowhere. Cinderella story. This guy catches 2 huge balls in this game. A 4th down, both 4th downs. One for a touchdown, one for a first down conversion. But it's hard to say enough good things about this Gopher football team. Yeah, after the Wisconsin loss, which still surprises me how one-sided that game was, but I do believe that that was a tough. Well, I mean, it was the weather just is not.
Are you talking about the Wisconsin game?
The Wisconsin game, the Gophers lost. Not to make excuses, but had that game been earlier in the season, I mean, the Gophers are a team that throws the ball more than Wisconsin. They throw it better than Wisconsin. They're not as big or physical or as powerful as Wisconsin. Yeah. I thought that once I saw that horrible weather forecast, they were going to be in trouble. But nonetheless, Wisconsin's a very good football team.
So the Gophers had 2 big wins.
Yes, but that's the thing. After that Wisconsin game, people started just saying, big deal. When it mattered, you lost to Iowa, you lost to Wisconsin. But when you come back and beat Auburn, to me, that validates the season.
Sure.
You beat Penn State, you beat Auburn. Those are 2 big-time wins. The game against Iowa was a really good, tough, competitive loss.
Iowa's no slouch.
No, especially late in the season in games like that. And had Tyler Johnson caught a ball at the 2-yard line that hit him right here, the Gophers probably would have won that football game. That was a huge.
So let me ask you this, Jeffrey, since we're running a little bit late.
Yeah, but we knew we'd have a lot to talk about.
No, that's cool. No, what does what does next year look like for the Gophers?
I think it looks really good. I think it looks awesome. Now you lose about half your defense, and I'm pretty sure you're going to lose Winfield, which hurts as well. But you know what? We saw some of these young guys step up quite a bit this year that I think are going to be able to step into positions next year.
Winfield's gone?
I think so. Yeah. I think so. But you got a 4-star recruit. He was a freshman this year. I forget his name, but he was going to redshirt. He wanted to play it a little bit, so we burned the redshirt. He'll be a sophomore next year, but he's a 4-star recruit, talented kid that I think will step in and play well. It's not going to be Winfield. But I mean, he's a pretty good talent.
We got a quarterback.
Kamal Martin's gone, but Oliver, this Oliver kid, this number 14, this linebacker's got a ton of talent, and a ton of upside.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's some players to step into these spots. They've got, they got a corner that's going to step in and take the place of Williamson. They've got players. They got enough players that I think they'll fill in the blanks. Offensively, they're going to be dynamite. I mean, you're going to have everybody.
Dynamite.
Well, you're going to have everybody back, but Rodney Smith and Tyler Johnson. And I tell you what, I think Ibrahim. I mean, there's so many pronunciations. I think he is going to be better than Rodney Smith. He might already be better than Rodney Smith. He was better than Rodney Smith in Tampa. I mean, Ibrahim was phenomenal. He was absolutely phenomenal in that game. I think he's going to be one of the.
How many years
does
PJ Fleck coach here?
I don't know. I don't know. I want to say 10 years, but I don't know. I mean, it might be 3, it might be 4 or 5. I don't know. I mean, he won't leave. The buyout goes down significantly. So people who have this false sense of security about this buyout, after that year of it being $10 million, it plummets quickly. They're like 4, 3, 2.
You don't think he's the kind of guy that wants to be here 20 years and have statues
maybe
made?
But that's the thing. Is he? Maybe he is. I know he and his wife love the Twin Cities. They love Minneapolis. There aren't if you're a coach, and you have a wife and you want to have a fun, good place to live. Yeah. There are many college towns better than Minneapolis. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of Iowa cities out there. There's a lot of Champaign, Urbana out there. There's a lot of West Lafayette out there. And they're decent college towns, but they're just that. They're college towns. If it wasn't for the college, they wouldn't exist. I mean, this is a major metropolitan area with culture and shopping and amenities, dining, whatever.
Lakes.
So yeah, I mean,
lakes.
There's a lot to be said for setting up shop in a market like this. But who knows? I mean, there's certainly more prestigious programs. There's certainly places
11,
where it's easy to win.
games a year, and hey.
Yeah, well, and make sure you do everything within your financial means to keep them, because PJ Fleck is the real deal.
And they're a legit top 10 team as far as I'm concerned.
Well, you know what?
12 for sure.
Yeah, I looked at the teams ahead of them in the rankings. There are only 10 or 11 teams that you can even make an argument that should be ranked ahead of them. So, I mean, if they're worse than 12, I mean, going from 8 to 18, I thought was really unfair. I mean, Baylor went into the postseason ranked 7th. All right, 7th. They were going into their bowl game. They beat nobody. You know what Baylor's best win was? Oklahoma State. I mean, it's not a bad win, but Penn State and Auburn are way, way better wins than that. So, I mean, so Baylor was ranked 7th. You've got to be. There's no reason to not be ranked ahead of Baylor. So I mean, if you're going to go down 10 spots for losing to Wisconsin, you better make a pretty good jump for beating Auburn. I think they're going to be in the 10 to 12 range. What they are to start the season next year, not only do I not know, but it's also kind of insignificant, because
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, teams have gone from unranked to make to get up into the top 5.
Yeah.
So I mean, you just that works itself out.
Yeah.
But it'd be cool to finish the year, in the top 10. It'd be cool. It'd just be a cool
11
status
wins.
thing and a sign.
First time since 1904.
Yeah, and in all fairness, you got to point
How
out
old
the
were you
fact.
then?
That's very funny.
Yeah.
The college football season has expanded. I mean, there used to be an 11-game season. Now
I
it's
know.
12,
I
and
know.
for some it's
I know.
13 if they get to a conference championship game. But nonetheless, I'm not. This is the University of Minnesota. You don't
We'll take
laugh
it.
or sneeze
No, we'll take
about an 11-2
No.
season. It is legit. It is what it is. So that's going to be it for this week. And again, you tell me a week where a better football week in the last 50 years when it comes to Vikings and Gophers combined. I mean, this is it.
We'll be back next Sunday.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal week.
Week.
We're going to be back next Monday.
Monday.
Talking about how we're going to go on the road to Seattle for the NFC Championship game. That's my prediction.
What if it's Lambeau? What if it's Lambeau? And
Where would you rather go?
I don't think the Packers can beat us 3 times in 1 year.
Okay.
I can't. I really don't. I really don't.
I'd love to go into Lambeau.
January 19th. It'll be my birthday.
Yeah,
bro.
your
My
68th birthday or
My
whatever.
52nd.
All right.
52nd.
Yeah.
Look
Good.
like I'm 35.
Jason Hill.
Oh,
I think he means
Taysom Hill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to talk
You know
about
what?
that guy.
Taysom Hill he's a talented guy.
Yeah.
But one thing about I'm sitting there screaming at the TV, tackle this guy. Why can't you tackle this guy? But if you carry the ball, 2 or 3 times in a game, you can run with a little reckless abandon.
Yeah.
You give a guy gets the ball, touches the ball 20, 30 times a game, you can't run like that. So I
Yeah.
mean, he's a really dangerous player, very versatile player, can do a lot of things.
Yeah.
But much of what he does is predicated on the fact that he does it very
Yeah.
infrequently.
And he's also not
Very
playing.
infrequent.
He's also not playing next weekend. So
That's also true. All right, that's going to do it. Thanks to Upcom Fitness. Thanks to Jason Linse. We will see you next Monday.
peace out.
Yeah.